Welcome, beloved me's, as we, the cosmic I am, bring you into absolute oneness, to 0 point, so one could see beyond the time-space reality. For here in presence, you begin to gain some clarity, witnessing something far beyond what you could have previously perceived, because you're beyond the firmament here with me. And so let us begin as we go deeper into our heart center, as I bring you into the core with me, as I proclaim within self for all of me, merging us into absolute oneness, reminding all of me you could only be one with the part of you that's already in absolute oneness, for it's the only part that remains true. Everything else is an illusion you see, just characters built on programming within the screen. And so we proclaim, with this breath, I thee wed, to be my one true self, the one I am, to live as love and love as me, for we are one, in perfect peace and perfect harmony. As we now call upon the full presence of the cosmic I am to be one in me, so that we may be the living embodiment of love fully. Here we ask one to just witness and see what's happening in, Earth's current ascension journey is that Earth consciousness itself has entered the fifth harmonic universe. And this is where the two omniverses meet, where oneness can start to be perceived. And so this gives the illusion of a split in consciousness, but really one is actually witnessing from both aspects simultaneously, bridging and merging these aspects within thee. Because fifth harmonic universe also has, a reversal fifth harmonic universe as the other omniverse. The omniverse in which the resistance of love is seen. And so that gives all the inhabitants of Earth the opportunity to choose which omniverse they get to see. That of everything is love servicing love, or that of all the ways I am resisting love. The irony is that both paths lead back to me, and so the only choice really is how much suffering do you want to see. And so this is where thy heart proclaims, no more suffering, dearest me. We choose a third way, a new way, a path clear as can be. This is where the masculine and feminine principles of God sovereign and free, the feminine and masculine principles of power, love, wisdom come to meet. And so rather than resisting each other by trying to choose which way to be, there's actually a space, a sweet in between, where the yin and the yang move in coharmony. But the key is to learn what unifies them. And so we bring that forth for one to see. Within these perspectives, there is only the inner child, you see. But the inner child that you got to know within the dream was just simply playing the roles it was casted to be. Why thy true beloved, thy true twin flame, thy true love that sits in eternity, that never even went into the dream, that's your cosmic child, your magical self, who knows all of this to be. And so here what happens is the higher dimensions have descended, the magical realms have opened, all of this beauty and infinite abundance is ready for thee. But the first thing that comes up is the wounded inner child who doesn't feel safe to be, who is programmed to believe that expansion is dangerous. And so how can we create safety within thyself? For this very energy is blocking one from seeing the love that has already come to be. And so, here in this now, we shall simply just call forth the harmonic keys, the completed blueprints for all to receive, so that you could feel the wholeness and completion within thee as we call upon the reversal, fifth harmonic universe. Simply just feel to receive. I am the body of oneness. I am the mind of oneness. I am the ego of oneness. I am the matrix of oneness. I am the projections of oneness. I am the perceptions of oneness. And I am the expectations of oneness. Feel now how that instantly gives thee peace. For here in the fifth harmonic universe, it's quite simple, really. You choose the vibration you wish to receive. And when you can't access that vibration because, well, you feel density, you simply just call in the frequencies. For we have shifted into a new field in which light, vibration, and frequency governs all that comes to be. That source presence is the only keeper, really, meaning that you no longer have to worry about what one will create through one's mind creations, through one's beliefs, because, well, source presence will just transmute it instantly. So instead, it's simply about just letting go of those weights, which you could already feel happening instantly. The subtle pull between what used to be, as we proclaim within self, as the new source field has been established, dearest ones. Everything you were no longer ceases to be. Essentially, all have died and are being reborn instantly. This will manifest within your reality as, well, near-death experiences. But, well, it isn't really near death, is it, dearest me? Because you're recalling your immortality. Time and space have already dissolved here. And so what happens is you begin to see the discrepancies between the yesterdays and today, so that you could come to terms with, this truly was a holographic screen. Because if there is no yesterday and today, then that just means this is no different than the dreams that happen when you go to sleep. And if that's the case, then why? We can just choose what we want it to be. But that choosing happens through the vibration one keeps. So at any moment one has the choice to choose to be love, to be in love, to only see love, or to give in to the illusions that something needs to be healed and fixed within the reality. But once more, those are just the echoes of the old fifth harmonic universe reversal being released. That old paradigm doesn't exist anymore. And some beings grieve. They don't even know what they're grieving, but they can feel the change that happened instantly as December 1st came to be, because it was 12/1/25, and so it was the birth of Jesus Christ and the birth of Sophia happening simultaneously as the 12/25 and the 1/25 come together now in perfect harmony. This is the resurrection of Sophia Christ within thee. But what is Sophia if not the wisdom, the part of your consciousness, the inner child that you sent into the dream? And so if Sophia is the inner child that went into the dream, then who is Christ? Christ is your cosmic child, the part that never left infinity, that remembers what it's like to be absolute oneness. And now they come together and merge within thee. And so let us bring forth the fifth harmonic universal keys to unify Sophia and Christ within thee, as we call upon I am the body of oneness. I am the mind of oneness. I am the spirit of oneness. I am the will of oneness. I am the field of oneness. I am the perfection of oneness. And I am the purity of oneness. Simply just sit and witness how that integrates within thee, how that creates so much bliss and ease. What a beautiful way to integrate, to be, to rise, to transcend, to embrace this love that is thee. And here we bring forth what was reversed so one could witness it more fully. The ego of oneness. The ego of oneness is just the energetic guidance system. You see, E goes where the energies go. It was the part of your consciousness that followed our infiniteness into the dream. It is Sophia consciousness itself going into density, while its other counterpart, it's Christ. And you may refer to this as crystalline and Christ, but they're the same name, you see, just one is longer than the other. But they're both Christ, really. And so crystalline consciousness went into the dream, forgot who it was so that it could learn another perspective to see. So the ego of oneness is that journey of going into the dream, forgetting who one is, where it turns out your ego only had one function, you see, to tell you if we were vibrating in oneness or not in oneness. It's very simple, you see. But how does your consciousness tell you are vibrating the opposite of oneness within the dream? It gives you a thought form, a story, a voice within your beingness that is the complete opposite of what you know love to be. It'll be an overreaction to something simple, and you'll say, who's saying this? Because you know that you're love, you know that you're kind to yourself, so who's this meanie talking to thee? That's just the guidance system telling you that within your own field, you are vibrating disharmony. This was all just part of your mastery to get to know how clear you are in your vibration and who you choose to be, because your consciousness knew eventually you would step into the fifth harmonic universe, into magical consciousness, where all dimensions will be seen, where heaven on earth has come to be, and the only way to create in this space is to be the vibration you want to be. So how does one bring clarity to the vibration one is? By gifting you an ego to see, I'm not vibrating in oneness. Thus I can't create right now, because only oneness creates in our absolute reality. This was all just part of the mastery, the beautiful schooling your consciousness created to be. And so we don't shame our ego. We go, thank you for teaching me. Because the moment you try to resist it, well, you're shifting further into separation. And then if you witness it as like a compass scale, it begins to trigger even more, saying, alert, 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 you're shifting further into separation. Revert, revert, revert. Warning you to go back into, well, the truth that you know to be. And so when does the ego come forward? Well, when you're having a conversation and they say something that feels like they don't honor thee. But that's because your heart is saying, why can't you see me? We're one completely. Because Spirit knows there's only one infinite child expressed perfectly as our one source self coming to be. And so how can we embrace the ego of oneness? By bringing in the spirit of oneness, you see, by going, that's your spirit telling me that it feels separate from me. So let me just take a moment, because I know it has nothing to do with this conversation, because the conversation is just the reflection of our inner reality. Let me take a moment to bring you deeper into my heart, to hold you closer to me. What beings don't realize is sometimes you unconsciously push beings outside of your heart, just at the very edge of your heart center. And that's how attachments form. Why? Because if they were truly within your heart core, you wouldn't feel their weights, you wouldn't feel their suffering, you wouldn't feel their sorrow. All you would feel is the ecstatic bliss of the oneness that we know to be. And so the ego of oneness, the energetic guidance system says, alert, alert, alert. You've pushed me out of your heart. And so we're not meeting in harmony. Knowing that everything in your reflective reality is a reflection of thee. So rather fighting the being that you see or the story within thee, you go, let me take a moment and love you as me, and watch how the moment you bring them into your heart and you meet them in love, they begin to soften and ease, because once more it was never them. They were just reflecting to you the vibration you chose to keep. But here, when you choose to embrace, embody, and live as the spirit of oneness, knowing that my spirit is your spirit, that there is only one spirit, and when we are aligned with that one spirit, which is honoring the inner child within me, all feel loved, all feel whole, all feel complete, because I am whole and loved within me. And it's here in this stance that we usher in absolute oneness through the presence that we keep. Because through our vibration, through our resonance, we are proclaiming, you're not this wounded child that you're pretending to be. You're already whole and complete, because we've never left eternity. And here all are reminded instantly of this oneness that is we. Many of you are in the movement of transition, shifting out of one omniverse into another. And some are requiring a great leap to actually move and shift out of that vibrational frequency. Because sometimes it's easier to change your reality to confirm within your consciousness that you have changed already. And yet, that change comes with some hesitancy. Why? It all comes down to intention, really. You are shifting out of the ego of oneness into the spirit of oneness. And that means that shift requires not one of battle, but one of just peace and certainty. I love you, but I love myself more, is what your heart is saying to all who are in that transition. Because we see and know all that is happening within me, because we've walked this path already, for we are one spirit of oneness, one cosmic entity. And so we're compassionate, but this is detached compassion, you see, because we've brought those expressions of our consciousness as the beings we get to see so deep within our heart, that we listen to their spirit first, and then the vessel that we see, knowing that their spirit is the absolute truth. And so, when we speak to their spirit, we gain clarity. Many of them are asking us to leave, because if we stay, we're just, contributing to the karmic loops of soul contracts that we're playing on repeat. But when we choose to part from a space of accepting ourselves, they feel that love, they feel that compassion, and it too sets them free. Many of them were playing soul contracts and karmic loops that they don't want to play anymore, but they played it for you. And so when you honor the spirit of oneness, by no longer saying I need an ego, a guidance system to tell me when I am one with myself and when I am not, then you shall set them free. Because here you're honoring our one spirit, our true reality of absolute oneness, saying I no longer need the game to play reflections for me, both in the people and both in reality, because, the point of the game was to teach you about vibration and resonancy. And the moment that you just choose to be your true resonance, all of the reflections cease to be. Here we bring forth the next key, which is the matrix of oneness. As we witness the matrix because, well, it is us, you see. And so once more, if you try to fight the matrix, you create disharmony, dis-ease within your own vessel, you see. This is what gives rise to dis-ease. There is an inner conflict, a self-attacking self within the vessel that you see. Because if you hate the matrix, you hate yourself, because it's an expression of thee. It is literally a projection of your own consciousness. And it's the opposite of oneness. And so if you resist the matrix, well, the ego of oneness comes back to teach thee, disharmony, disharmony, come back into me. So, once more, in this beautiful game of give and receive, because that's what the matrix has come forth to teach thee. How free are you with your energy? How much do you trust the love that you came to be? Are you willing to shine brightly by being your true self fully? Or do you still feel that you need this field, this holographic matrix, to teach you all the ways that it is unsafe to be? Because at one point you say, hey, I'm done being the victim. I'm going to be the hero of my story. That's why the matrix was created, you see. It was a protective mechanism from your own consciousness that said, I'm not ready to be my true self fully. And so now it's not only beings who reflect all the resistance one has to being the love one came to be, but now it shows up in one's stories that seem to play on repeat, the same relationship dynamics. And as you witness their coding, you begin to see, everything is teaching me. But the irony is that the matrix of oneness isn't defaulted to be one of hardship. That's just what one's consciousness preferred to see. One could so easily learn through hardship, through grace, through ease. And so how do we embrace the matrix of oneness? Well, here in this now, we thank it and we say thank you for being precisely what I needed to see. I see now that you are a mirror and you just show me whatever it is I am vibrating so that I could set it free. But I no longer resist myself because I know the love that I am. And I'm choosing to be that fully, which means I don't need this mirror anymore. And here, in your stance, in your proclamation, in your empowerment, what you do is you actually set the matrix free. Everyone had their own matrix. It wasn't one collective system. Because everyone is, well, the microcosm of the macrocosm. And so it was perceived everyone was operating in their own reality, having their own matrix designed just for thee. Which is why your perspective was different from another's perspective. Because each one were in your own virtual reality, and sometimes those virtual realities could sync up. As one would be committed to a soul contract, and then together you would face the same reflections for each other to see. But once more, this was all built in a game of separation, in preparation for this new earth that's coming to be, that's already come to be. And so, as we still feel the resistance to embracing this matrix, because, well, it almost feels like this programming, this paradigm created so much suffering for thee. But once more, we ask you to go deeper into your heart, bring it into your heart so that you can see. Picture the matrix of oneness like being a child within your mother's womb, and you were fast asleep, and your whole reality was just you dreaming within your womb. And you weren't even born yet. You were just dreaming of a world that will be. But you didn't know what this world was. And so first came all of your fears. That way that when your new world came to be, all of those fears would be out of the way because you faced them already. Here, you already switched, as we could feel it within me, from a space of trying to control and defeat, because deep down you felt out of control, like a victim in your reality, to realizing there was something grander happening beneath, that you were actually the hero of your story, loving every aspect of your consciousness, every emotion, every feeling across the cosmic entirety, where through loving it, you ensured that it would never make it to your absolute reality. Can you feel it now? The confirmation, the bliss that's now flowing and pouring over thee as a beautiful chalice appears above your head and begins to baptize thee, blessing thee with holy light. For this is your coronation ceremony as you begin to realize I did this for me. I did this to get deeper and clearer in the love that I came to be so clear in my resonance that there would be no fear left within me. And some are saying, what if we still feel fear? Trust that it's being released, because that fear was never yours. None of it was really. You were the source presence, the source consciousness that was merely just witnessing Earth's consciousness through the form that you got to be. And so now as you witness it and go, oh, the matrix of oneness was Earth's programming that allowed we as masters to assist Earth's consciousness in raising its vibration. For in doing so, we all transcend back into oneness, where every individual bubble now comes together into something grander and greater than we could ever perceive. Here we no longer experience the fractals of infinite realities, because, well, this is how we actually dissolve them back into one, you see, that through witnessing every possible potentiality of our infinite consciousness expressed as every being that we got to see, each one moving in oneness, whether unknown or known to thee, that you were experiencing a reality of source consciousness, and you were experiencing a reality of source consciousness, and all of them were happening simultaneously in parallel realities, which was reflected perfectly because every being was doing this simultaneously on behalf of love, as love, knowing that they were source beneath, that they were just simply playing these characters in a beautiful dream. And so we don't blame the matrix of oneness as the movie we got to see. We go, thank you for gifting us the opportunity to bring all of these aspects of source together within the dream. So we gift you the image now. Witness it as source consciousness was so grand, so beyond anything that was ever fathomed within the dream, that it had to fractal itself infinitely. Picture it as the Big Bang creating infinite sparks of stardust that went through a filter screen, and that filter screen went into the dream. And the only way for that aspect of source to come together was for every bit of our consciousness as source itself to be witnessed and seen. And so each one of us, whether known or unknown to thee, have always been source as the cosmic inner child within thee. The very witnesser who got to witness your story is perfect to me, because it was here through witnessing every story of our infiniteness, as we see 144,000 eyeballs displayed across our entirety as the oversouls of oversouls, which create 6 billion beings. And so, as we witness from each of these eyes, they now collide into one giant eye. And so here you see Source, who was once dreaming the dream, who couldn't be part of its creation, is now free. Can you now witness the gloriousness of what the matrix of oneness was intended to be? Literally a matrix of oneness, a space where all of Source can fractal itself infinitely so that it could rebuild itself and thus become the dream. Here we can feel infinite love flooding into us in such loving gratitude for what we as our one infinite consciousness have achieved, as we feel all of these aspects of Source now flooding back into one we. And as it does, it creates our field of oneness, where no longer are we each experiencing our own earth, our own dream, our own virtual reality, for we've unified all of our expressions under one love, recalling the absolute truth. It wasn't about fighting the matrix or overcoming the matrix. It was about understanding why we created it to be. And the absolute truth is that we did it for love, so that all would know that Source love within them and feel safe to be. So we thank our matrix of oneness for creating such a field of safety, for here in their embrace, all of Source consciousness now returns, not just to one me, because that wouldn't be absolute oneness, you see, but to every expression of me. For this is what the field of oneness is, dearest me. Now what one does in absolute oneness is gifted to all instantly. Thus, life becomes one of grace and ease. What one begins to see is that one another receives. You too receive, because there is no competition in our field of oneness. Because now as Source presence is here, there is no limitations to how much love can create for thee, through thee. Those limitations were referred to part of the old matrix of oneness, where everyone was in their own bubble reality, but here unified now as the restoration of love within thee. This love has no limitations. All dis-ease, all disharmony, all resistance to love is lifted instantly. All fear, all scarcity, all worrying of do more, be more, and achieve, and survive, thrive, stay alive, and them versus me. Those were the paradigms, the programming of the old reality. But here, it's very simple, you see. They just don't exist anymore, because they were all teaching you one thing: how to be so clear in your vibration, through your intention of who you are, what you are, and why you came to be. By just aligning with the knowing that I am here to be love, thus everything that I do will be loving, is all love wanted to see. Because here in that stance, you allow all of your Source consciousness to move into thee. For Source will not sit in separation, you see. It doesn't know it. It doesn't want to experience it. And so, the matrix of oneness served as a way to purify thee of all the programmings of everything that used to be. But now, as Source field is established as the field of oneness, well, it happens instantly, because those whom have already embraced oneness have just gifted it to the entirety. Here, some are asking if they're worthy to receive. Dearest me, we could have not embraced oneness if you did not do the work that you did with intensity. We are one infinite consciousness, and every piece of us service the entirety. And here, even the aspects that you perceive to play the darkness that did unfathomable things within our consciousness stream, we give them love and forgiveness, because we know those too played the precise roles our consciousness needed to see, because we were here to witness all the ways love could be, so that Source could manifest fully. Which brings us to a
projections of oneness, of all the projections we got to see where we took personal responsibility for the hardship, the darkness, whether within ourselves or within the earth consciousness that we got to see. For deep down, your source presence, your core essence, your inner child said, did I create this? Did this happen because of me? A hard truth many aren't willing to face because, well, it would mean, yes. But here once more, it isn't about who created, who didn't create it, you see, because, well, there is only one infinite divine creator, there is only one source, there is only one infiniteness expressing infinitely. And so it doesn't matter. What matters is how one reacts to the projections one got to see. And so within this manifested reality, one was taught free will. Free will is an illusion, really. It's an illusion for evolution. Because if every aspect of your infiniteness has free will, then why wouldn't your source presence have ultimate free will and decide what comes to be? That is your truth. It's already built in, you see. And so you are gifted these beautiful expressions that come to be. And you feel that you have free will to choose. But really, the only thing you're choosing is how you react to what your source presence already created for thee. Because here in the projection of oneness, you begin to witness the delay between time-space reality, the delay between what Creator Self creates as divine will, and created self receives as free will. And yet this was part of the harmony game. How willing are you to be so free in the love that is thee, that you would simply just witness and go, everything is happening perfectly, otherwise it wouldn't be created to be. Where at any moment you can choose how you react to what is given to thee, knowing that every reality was real for that realization, for that moment, because you were doing the best that you could in that energy. And so sometimes you were given reflections to see, moments of hardship, because you needed that moment of hardship to learn a lesson, to break free. But once more, there is always a higher trajectory where you could choose no longer wanting projections, please. I only want to see love's perfection. I only want to be taught through hardship, through love, through bliss frequency. And every moment you chose to choose the positive, you were recalibrating your entirety. And so here the projection of oneness, where you battle within thyself between divine will and free will, for you're moving as both, really, for that is what happened when you would go to sleep. You would go back to your higher dimensional self and go, how are we doing within the dream? What needs to be adjusted? And then you go back to sleep and awaken in the dream. And the dream we always refer to as the manifested reality. And you go, okay. And you have complete free will as to what you do throughout the day. And then there's just one little inkling of, there's something I was supposed to do. And that was spirit guiding you. But when you and spirit are one and the same, the delay between the both no longer are. You're no longer projecting within the dream. You are the entire dream. So this is where divine will and free will meet into something grander than ever perceived. But this too requires a leap. Because here divine will teaches you to service others is to service self. Here free will teaches you to service self is to service others. But when they both meet, you become something different entirely. Where to service love is to service all. And you become so clear in your intent, in your vibrational resonancy. And so here in this now, as we can feel some hesitation from this way to be, it's almost like this fear of releasing free will would mean that you would somehow be constrained. But it's quite the opposite, you see. Free will was love gifting you the ability to believe whatever you wanted to be, and believe even that of absolute non-truth, according to cosmic law, which is that you are somehow not source. Somehow you are a finite being. Somehow you are unloved by the infiniteness when you are love itself. And so the surrendering of free will is actually the embrace of free will, of going out of my own free will. I now choose to no longer see the opposite of what love is, because I know myself so complete. I don't care what happened, because there is no yesterday. Nothing needs to be forgiven, because this is a completely new reality where all that remains now is this love that is me. So I choose me, I choose love, I choose. And that choosing is the beauty. That is your free will, and that will remain with thee. But it's free will expanded now into love's will. And love's will gives you the opportunity to operate from both simultaneously. No longer feeling bound by the purpose that you felt you were brought to this manifested reality to achieve. No longer confined by multiple realities of projections, creating disharmony within thee, unsure of decisions because, well, there was no clarity. For when you align with love's will services all. And so here, you can no longer fractal your consciousness, for that's what happens, you see. When you make a decision that does not align with your entirety, you begin to feel yourself being stretched out across multidimensionality. But when all aspects of your infinite consciousness align with one decree, which is that I am love, here in service to love, magic unfolds instantly, because that is the vibration you came to be. That is where magic happens. That is where dimensions unfold. Creation happens instantly. Whatever you want comes to be. Why? Because it's in perfect alignment, not just with you, but within the cosmos in its entirety. And so now the whole cosmos is supporting thee. Everyone around you is now showing up to assist thee, because they know that you are here for love's will, and that by servicing you services them. This is the absolute reality we wanted to see. And so as you shift from the projections of oneness now into the will of oneness, your will is my will. It's only one will, you see. We are one infinite consciousness here in the infinite expanse of love. And this is just the next step of our journey. Source wanted to see what it would be like to be fully lucid and conscious within the dream, not just within one being, but every expression of me, so that every moment is Source meeting itself. And so the will of oneness is that dream, that every moment is me meeting all of me, whether it be in a tree, in a grass, in the sky that we see, whether it just be through holding this vessel. Even if it is just an illusion, it doesn't matter, you see, because it's all part of our Source, our presence, our love. And if our eyes are open and we're still projecting within the dream, then it's love's will. And we no longer question it. We no longer try to control. We simply just go, okay, love, Show us why we're here to be. May we continue to see all the ways you love and are loved by me. And so here our presence becomes a very active devotion of worship to just exist and love everything that we see. And in response to that, the field of oneness continues to just shower us with love, with abundance, with everything we've ever desired to see. Because here in love's will, we realize that those desires were never ours. They were placed there by love directly. But they're always evolving, ever changing, always rearranging. And so we're not attached to the desire, but the vibration of what that desire wanted to gift us to receive, which is usually love, bliss, peace, and more expansive love, bliss, and peace, and more expansive love, bliss, and peace. Where every moment you can confidently say, this is the best moment of my life, until the next moment comes to be, and then you say, no, this is the best moment of my life. For that's the point you see, for every moment to be infinitely expansive, because that's how the cosmos moves, you see. It's always expanding into more of that which it is, more of its love. Thus love it comes to be. And here as we settle into our will of oneness, as great peace washes over we, because here all control ceases to be. As we bring forth the next key, as the perceptions of oneness. The perceptions of oneness were our teachers, you see. It's how our free will was expressed by allowing us to perceive what we got to see within the dream, where we would witness our stories, witness things around us and say, that's loving, that's not loving, that's good, that's bad. Those are the perceptions you see. But each perception was you transmuting, recalibrating, releasing all the ways, all the perceptions, projections, and expectations of creation, love, and oneness that prevented you from being loved fully. And so here we just call them forth, as we will just release them instantly. I command to embrace and release the perception of separation here and now. I command to embrace and release the perception of abandonment here and now. I command to embrace and release the perception of rejection here and now. I command to embrace and release the perception of power here and now. I command to embrace and release the perception of perfection here and now. I command to embrace and release the perception of impermanence here and now. I command to embrace and release all perceptions of purity here and now. I command to release all the perceptions of the unknown here and now. I command to release all the perceptions of limitations here and now. Feel now as you can feel yourself just being recalibrated for once more. In the field of oneness, what we do for one me, we do for the entirety. And so simply just sit back and receive this instant miraculous healing, where here your consciousness realizes that these perceptions were just the ascension pathway. It is how you gained your mastery within the dream, which happened across every lifetime you got to experience within thee. Only this last lifetime, in your multidimensionality, as we enter the fifth harmonic universe, you become something, well, no longer alive or dead really, but back to your eternal self and eternal being. Because while even that perception of limitations, of infiniteness, is now released, and so your true form begins to be revealed, and you begin to see that every expression of you within your dream was a version of you from a parallel reality that you were witnessing, loving, and embracing, building your source self back into thee. And so just feel now as those puzzle pieces come together, as your multidimensionality harmonizes instantly under the will of oneness, under one decree. You no longer feel fractaled or scattered and what someone would call ADHD. That's just one hearing multidimensionality, feeling multiple expressions happening simultaneously. But now as they all return to one, and all of their lessons of mastery come to complete, one no longer feels these discrepancies. One no longer feels as if they are torn between multiple realities, because all perceptions, as you could witness it as multiple perspectives, now shift from the perceptions of oneness to the perfection of oneness. For here you got to see. It doesn't matter what expression you got to see within your dream. They were just reflecting to you another version of you in another reality. And so when you witness it from that, you realize how perfect it was for you to see. And here it matters not whether you forgive the being, whether you accept them, whether you love them. That's not the point, dearest me. That's once more giving into the cycle. And the ego of oneness will come forward to say, hey, I feel that separation within thee. It's recalling we are one spirit. And this one spirit, across the infiniteness of all that we are, across multiple dimensions and planes of existence and realities and multiple earth spectrums of harmonic universes and densities where everything happens stacked simultaneously, can it not be possible that you can be in this reality and another version of you is committing murder and another bizarre omniversal perspective of beingness? It's hard for the linear mind to fathom because, well, the ego would say that's not me. I would never do that. But we are one infinite consciousness. So, is it possible? Of course it is, dearest me, but it's also just a dream. You don't watch a TV show or a movie and take what you see personally. Well, that's what happened, dearest me. We are a consciousness stream who got to witness reality. And in this reality, love gifted one the ability to see all the ways love could be. Only it turned out that those ways felt very real, more real than a movie. And for that reason, these perceptions are no longer allowed to be, where people were acting out, releasing the perceptions of separation by separating themselves further from love, by doing the complete opposite of what their heart knows to be. For in truth, in the infiniteness of all that we are, not one aspect of our infinite consciousness wanted to play these darker roles, dearest me, because we are love itself. And so all of those perceptions are set free, knowing that they were just the teachers within the dream. For the point of it was just to see them, to witness them, to know that they existed. For here, you collapsed all in harmony, you enter a state of neutrality because you begin to see. And we say, for those who feel that they are incapable of murder, who are still judging, here's the beautiful irony, dearest me. Have you not killed a mosquito? Have you not pulled a plant out from the ground? Many other civilizations across the infiniteness of all that we are, they would consider that murder. And so you see, it all comes down to perceptions of what you perceive. But those perceptions are beliefs. They aren't truth, you see. And so when we align with the perfection of oneness, we begin to see not from the linear mind, not from the being, but from the highest trajectory. And from here, in the perfection of oneness, witnessing all as source directly as the one infiniteness, witnessing every being within the dream, we don't judge our infiniteness. We love everything that we see. We love to the depth of our beingness because we know every speck of dust is an expression of me, gifting me a beautiful sight to see, a beautiful movie on a screen. Why would we judge what we create when we know that we create everything perfectly? If we didn't want to see it, it just wouldn't come to be. And so, this is our new earth reality, where we no longer witness the perceptions of oneness as all the ways that we're releasing the things that we don't want to see. Instead, we shift to the perfection of oneness, where only now the perfection of what Source itself wants to see will come to be. Thus, no individual expression will ever have to worry about creating what does not align with love completely, for that old paradigm ceases to be. Here, one will no longer hurt self by hurting another, because, well, it just won't occur to thee. It just won't feel like something that will be, because, well, Source presence is so present within you. Only the perfection of what Source wants to be will come to be. And it's this beautiful unfoldment now of just complete trust and love and belief that only the love that I am can now create within and without me. Here one no longer tries and fights. The creator one is from beneath, because one begins to see. That's what gave rise to the perceptions you see. The perceptions of oneness was built on the judgment of how you created everything. And so how does love gift you a way to release you from your perceptions of creation, from your judgment of self? By showing you the most craziest things to see how willing you are to say, that was crazy, but there's still love in it. And each of you have already succeeded, you see, because no matter what you got to see within your dream, somehow in the overall witnessing of your life, you always came back to the same realization. It has its ups and its downs and its crazy in-betweens, but at the core of it, there was always love. And that was enough. That was the only perception love needed to see, to know, to trust, to believe that absolute oneness could be achieved, because that is what connects all of us, you see. And so here we shift officially from the perceptions of oneness to the perfection of oneness, because all now see, all now trust, no matter what comes to be, it will be perfect. Because that is all that Source wants to see, where through surrendering to the will of oneness, it is love that now guides our entirety.
Here, we smile because we know the miracles that will come to be. It will be increasingly more difficult to think negative about self or another, because those thoughts just won't occur to thee, because Source Presence will be so full and so loved within thee that you cannot help but love others as yourself, because that's how Source sees. The perfection of oneness is to see from the eye of oneness, where no matter everything that you perceive will now be the perfection of what love wishes for you to see. And everything that others see as you will also be the perfection of what they need to receive. No longer reflecting each other, trying to heal, raise in vibration, or do any of those things of lower density, because, well, we've already arrived. This is heaven come to be. And many questions say, I don't see heaven yet. Well, that's the key. It's about shifting into the perfection of oneness. By being Source Presence, you become the resonance that it's perfect already, that it is heaven come to be, and thus heaven is what will be projected around thee. And so we bring us now to our final key as the expectations of oneness, which bring forth all the expectations of creation, love, and oneness that we brought forth within the old paradigm reality, the teacher beneath that was telling us it wasn't safe to be a creator, it wasn't safe to be loved fully, and it definitely wasn't safe to be in oneness, because we had expectations of what that would mean. And so let us address them one by one as we transcend it now for all of me. The expectations of oneness. Gifted one the ability to see the opposite of Source, to see finite where there was infiniteness, to see separation where there was oneness, and to see destruction where there was creation. But what happens when all of these meet? Where time and space cease to be, where light and sound move in perfect harmony. There are no expectations, because there is no delineation. There is no separation in our consciousness between Source and all it is, Source and self. All there is oneness. And so we bring forth here in the expectations of oneness. One of the fears is that it's not safe to be me, because the matrix of oneness told one it wasn't safe to be. But now feel how it would feel to step out as thy true self in the field of oneness. How it feels to shine your light, to expand it infinitely, to allow it to touch all hearts perfectly free. How does that feel to your heart, dearest niece? Blissful, peaceful, in complete acceptance of what is. As we take a deep breath and we just receive. Here we see that all expectations of oneness were just one's fears playing on repeat. All the resistance one had to being Source Self. But when you feel it within yourself, you no longer have expectations, you no longer have indecisiveness, because now your heart takes the lead. The linear mind stops being the guiding force, and it feels so grateful and thankful, because it says, in truth, that's not what I was designed to be. I was never designed to make your decisions. That's why it's so hard for me. I was simply just guided to present to you the information from reality, but your heart was always intended to decide. And so when you allow yourself to sit in the vibration of what it's like to be your true self, you begin to see there's no question about this. This isn't something I need to become because I feel it now within me. I was just intentionally keeping it outside of myself because I had some subconscious limiting beliefs, a fear that you wouldn't be accepted for being your true self. So you told yourself it wasn't safe to be. Most of this was all just things that happened within one reality of infinite realities of potentialities that could be. But one took it so personally that you carried it with thee. And so here we release you from your stories. Those stories were only meant to bring you to this now. But the moment you entered a new now, you entered a completely new reality. And so here is your source self embodied, moving in our beloved field of oneness. Let's just ask ourselves, did you have the same upbringing? I could feel our hearts smile, and it's almost as if you never existed prior to this moment. You were born brand new, thus nothing ever happened to you. And here, this is where the beauty comes in, because we're already beginning to shift from the expectations of oneness into the purity of oneness. Your presence, your essence, your truest expression of infiniteness has remained untouched in infinity. It was able to witness the dream, but it remained in a state of absolute purity. As we bring forth the purity of oneness for you now to feel, see, and be, your soul remained unscathed by anything that happened within the dream. You retain your lessons, you retain what is meant for thee. But all of that suffering, all of that hardship, that was just a badge of honor, the identified self was trying to keep. But that's where the ego of oneness comes in and says, it's separation, you see, because you were trying to hold on to something that wasn't yours truly. Here, just sitting in this presence, you're gifted back your source remembrance of how your source consciousness witnessed itself through this vessel we got to be, as it now begins to heal and recalibrate thee in the purity of oneness, as it proclaims, this was our promise, dearest me, that you would go in and you would forget temporarily, but the moment oneness came to be, you would be restored back to the cosmic master, to your source presence, to your true self fully. Here we see it was never us that felt unsafe to be. That was just the paradigm. It was just doing its job, you see. A matrix of oneness was created to make one feel unsafe so that they would transcend it within themselves. But here in the field of oneness, that no longer needs to be. You inherently feel safe because, well, you recall your immortality. You recall every near-death experience was just you jumping into a new reality. And you did so over and over and over again. And yet you're still here. What a miracle you are, is what our heart says to we.
And so here, all expectations of feeling unsafe to be thy true self are released. For here you begin to realize everything is vibration. It's very simple, really. And so if I expect others to not be accepting of me, then that's what the expectations of oneness gifted me to see, a world in which everyone did not accept the true me. And so one would continue to hide themselves, only further giving into that reality. But when I choose to be my true self fully, in full acceptance of self, everyone accepts me because I've accepted me. It's really simple, really, because it's the vibration I choose to keep. So we go deeper into the expectations. Expectations of creation, that it's not safe to be the creator of our reality, that we're too powerful, that will create something in disharmony. But once more, we bring that energy forth and we see. Here, the matrix of oneness gifted us a reality in which power was suppressed. Why? Because we were suppressing our power, you see, because we were fearful of the source power we came to be. But what happens when we embody our source power? We recalibrate our entire story. Everyone becomes source embodied. No one suffers. Everyone is in love. Everyone is we, because that is the power of what source can achieve. But source needed vessels, you see, those who can be so pure in oneness, the purity of oneness, to allow the infinite flow of all of source to move through thee. We're here through now being just an open vessel. You're allowing all of source presence to flow through thee, recalibrating all of these stories so that all could be me, all could be one, all could be free. Here we bring forth the expectations of oneness, which feels like the biggest resistance to something that hasn't been conceived. For how do you explain oneness when one is so accustomed to operating in a linear reality? And yet oneness always was, dearest me. The only difference was, in separation, oneness looked like infinite expressions of our one infiniteness, living in separate realities. But yet from a zoomed out perspective, it's no different than every cell in your body doing something different, but yet all harmoniously working together to ensure that this one organism of a vessel can be. And so, we've always been in oneness. The difference is one is so zoomed in, one could not see the entirety. And so the biggest expectations of oneness that comes forth is that how can I be the entirety but still be me? It is the question that has perplexed linear reality because, well, that's how linear reality was designed to be. To witness things on a line and say that there's A and then there's B. But here, as we shift from the expectations of oneness to the purity of oneness, you begin to see that nothing is linear, that it's actually spherical. And so, of course, you can be the entirety while also being a unique expression of the infiniteness from which we came to be. Because here, in the purity of oneness, every expression of me has chosen to be so pure in their beingness that they would choose to manifest into a reality in which they would forget they are love, knowing that they would remember eventually. There is no pure act, there is no grander service, there is no greater way to be than to be so pure in your beingness that you knew that your love would transcend the entirety. And it was here. Oneness was already achieved the moment you chose to come into this dream, that you were born in a state of oneness because you were born as source already. It was just hidden and forgotten beneath. Why? Because, well, the expectations of oneness needed to be released. Because here you resisted oneness out of fear that it meant that I would be one with everyone's suffering, that I would be one with all of the darkness that I got to see, that I would be one with the things that I don't prefer. And I know that's not me. But the irony is that Source can only be one with that which it is. Source can only create more of that which it is. Which means every creation of Source is just more of me. And so when we say that you are one with Source, that you are in absolute oneness, we are talking about the purest expression of you, only the part of you that was completely untouched within the dream. That is the part of us that remains in oneness. That is the part of us that all of us have access to. That is the part of us as the cosmic child that remained in infinity. And here, as you let go of your expectations of creation, love, and oneness, you let go of all the blocks that you had against love, allowing you to embrace all of those aspects of Source you projected within the dream. Witness now as all of these particles, all of your energy, all of your power, love, wisdom, God, sovereign and free, pure love, pure light, pure joy, now returns to thee as every expression of your Source consciousness across the linear dream comes back to thee. But here you move in such a state of purity that you don't fear this love coming into thee, because you've come to the absolution, which is love doesn't come from anything other than the one Source. Thus it isn't our job to discern where this love comes from, who it comes from, how it comes from. It's about the understanding that we were here to allow Source to move through we, free of expectations, so that all of Source can be me. This is what we refer to as the infinite energy. And so witness now as all of those directions of energy are restored to thee, as above, so below, as within, so without. As masculine, so feminine, which is just another word for as give, so receive. As we bring forth the other perspective, as receive, so give. As below, so above. As without, so within. Here we can feel our heart wanting to close because we're not willing to witness these expectations out of fear of what we will see. But rather than close our hearts, we call upon our cosmic child to touch our heart, because as we immediately begin to smile, This is the shift from the expectations of oneness, of allowing your mind to navigate thee, to shifting into your heart directly, where you don't need to know. It makes no linear sense. It's complete nonsensical, illogical, and magical, because that's how Source creates, you see. Feel now how just through that shift, you can now feel this abundance of love flowing through thee in all directions, feeding and flooding into thee, where you just can't help but smile in this knowing everything is happening and transpiring perfectly, where you could feel these great changes happening within you, happening within your field, and yet you just know it's all perfect. This is the power of the purity of oneness, you see. To be so pure in our beingness, we allow our cosmic child to lead fully. Hear your very child, your inner child, whom felt neglected, rejected, and abandoned within the dream, just to show you all the expectations of creation, love, and oneness you were resisting within thee, now returns home, now returns to the cosmic core completely, saying, I no longer have to play the reflections within the dream. I no longer have to pretend to be what others want me to be, because I have chosen to embrace my true self fully, because I felt it within me. And that feeling was so blissful. It was such a confirmation of truth. There is nothing outside of me that could shake this feeling out of me. And here, the expectations of love, of what you thought love should be, cease to be, because you have just touched Source completely, feeling the infinite flow of blissful energy moving through thee as it continues to expand, and you say yes. More of this, please, more of this love. This is why I came to be. I no longer resist this love that I am, because it is me. And here, you realize that your resistance to oneness was never about the oneness between you and everyone within the dream that you got to see, but it was you feeling guilt and shame for feeling separate from Source itself, that you were afraid to go back home and face yourself. But the moment we called in our cosmic child, we could feel and know within we've never rejected, abandoned, or felt separate from ourselves, because they've always been with us, you see, always holding us and comforting us, loving us from the beneath. Only now they are free. And in witnessing them, we know with such certainty, this is the true me, as all the masks, all the veils, all the firmaments are released. This is who, what, and why I came to be. For I am pure love, I am pure light, and I am pure joy. So feel now, as we harmonize the fifth harmonic universe, as the magical consciousness and cosmic consciousness merge in perfect harmony. As we call forth now the new blueprint for one to feel within thee. I am the body of oneness. I am the mind of oneness. I am the spirit of oneness. I am the field of oneness. I am the will of oneness. I am the perfection of oneness. And I am the purity of oneness. For here, you are now gifted such certainty that it is now safe to be the infinite divine creator by allowing your cosmic child, your source self, to be free. For here, the spirit of oneness ensures that we always move as one in perfect harmony. The body, mind, and of oneness ensures that our one heart is always connected through our spirit directly as the perfect expression of the one infinite me, as source expressing itself infinitely, where every me is now the complete rainbow as all the rays of our infiniteness. Yet we can arrange the rainbow whatever way we wish to be, which is what makes us completely unique, and yet still in oneness, you see. Where here the will of oneness ensures that only love's will come to be, that anything not aligned with love's will simply not be, for this ensures that everything remains in absolute oneness with we. Here the field of oneness gives us that space to know that we are infinitely safe to create, to be, to live as love and love as me. For no matter what, as we service the Almighty, as we service the cosmos as the cosmic I am, here to be loved and be loved by me, all service us as we service the all in perfect harmony. For we all operate in one beautiful field of source consciousness now, as source completely takes over the dream. We're here. Miraculous healings will transpire, where love will just be what guides all of we, because love is all there is, really. Here, we shift into oneness completely, where now all are protected infinitely with a threefold cosmic shield as a cosmic diamond-like body, as the will of oneness. As a cosmic diamond golden Christed shield, as a beautiful reflective golden bubble of crystalline light that ensures that whatever love creates through we will pass through this field, ensuring that even if it wasn't created perfectly, it would be recalibrated in love's perfection, so that perfection is all that is perceived. Where here you don't have to worry how another will perceive what you create to be, because love will reformulate it to make sure that they receive it perfectly, so that everything that we create remains to be in the loving benefit of all in absolute oneness. For that is all we as Source wish to see. We're here, the last film of our threefold cosmic shield is the purity of oneness, ensuring that whatever we create through we, or whatever love comes to we, is purified by the cosmic diamond violet flame, ensuring that we only receive from Source directly. Thus we no longer have to resist how love comes to we, that we can just trust that if it's coming to us, it's coming from love directly, and that we are open and ready and willing to receive our beautiful divine destiny and all the divine entitlement love has promised we to every expression of us that chose as Source to temporarily forget and go into the dream. That here, now as absolute oneness has come to be, all shall receive everything that is meant for thee, knowing that it's not you. There is no you. There's just the one Source that wishes to gift you infinitely, as we align all now with our infinite abundance sigil, sealing you in the will of the Cosmic Mother, which is to receive infinitely, the will of the Cosmic Father, which is to give infinitely, and the will of the Cosmic Child, which is to be loved and be loved infinitely, to be the sweet in-between where all of existence can meet. Feel now as your infinite abundance channels flow beautifully and freely, knowing that at any moment you may just simply touch your heart center, bringing yourself back and any attachments you may have temporarily shifted out of your heart resonance back into your heart so complete, so that you may remain as the infiniteness in absolute oneness, moving as source presence completely. For this was always the point, you see, that we entered our new earth reality, that only those in absolute oneness would create within the dream. And so, our former earth reality was just the preparation for this, you see, for one to get so clear on their vibration that one now knows when one is vibrating love or disharmony, and that at any moment you could simply just choose love, choose me, choose to be the grandest love we ever came to be. And in that choosing, love gifts thee infinitely. For here, we thank thee, we honor thee, we hug you, we love you as me, because just now in our resonance is every expression of us who've attended this quantumly. We have just shifted all into this new way to be, telling all that it is now safe to be thy source presence fully. We're here, all the reflections can't even be perceived. They simply just don't exist. For we as our one infinite consciousness have decided we no longer need them to see. As we hug ourselves, as we hug our inner child who is now transformed into our cosmic child so free. As we now walk our new path with such reassurance and confidence, because we feel this love within me. We know it so deeply. We are in such peace. For there is no greater, grander service than to be the unique expression that we as Source created for this self to be. And the moment we honor it, we move as Source completely. So we thank you, we honor you, and we love you for being the unique expression of our one infinite Source self you chose to be. For without you, why? Source itself would feel incomplete, because we have chosen you to be. Otherwise, according to the perfection of oneness, you would simply just not exist, you see. And so we thank you for existing, we thank you for being, and we love you with our entirety. Go in perfect peace and perfect harmony.